Hey everyone, we're going to be going over the designer notes for the preseason of Year 6 Season 2 in this video. The reason why I want to go through this is because it explains a lot of the changes coming in Year 6 Season 2, and also it contains something that I find personally hilarious and I'm sure a lot of people are not going to be too happy about, which if we just quickly pass by the attackers here, we can see here, we'll zoom in so you guys can see even better, is that Jager is now technically the third worst defender in the game. Keep in mind, his win delta wasn't that high before it was -1, which would have put him in like the bottom 20% already. But now he is actually the third worst. He has a worse win delta than Clash. And this is because of his recent nerf where his recoil got increased and his ammo capacity got reduced. I know a lot of people aren't happy about that because obviously this game has a ton of Jaeger and also Ash mains. And I just wanted to put this because I find it pretty hilarious that that small change made it where he's basically a bottom of the barrel operator. Obviously nothing's going to change. He's still going to get picked a lot because he does have a really good gun and overall really good utility. But it's just funny that he is the third worst now. But if we go through both of these, you can see that a lot of the operators, for the most part, are pretty in line with what Ubisoft want. No one is really too high or too low, with the exception on defense. You have Rook and Frost being +3 and Castle being -3. On attack, everyone's about 2.5 or lower. Technically, the best attacker in the game right now is Ace, which isn't really surprising when he is easily the best hard breacher. But overall, you can see a lot more operators starting to fall closer to the middle and especially closer to that, 18% presence that they want. Overall, not bad. But let's go to the ban rates now. Unsurprisingly, Thatcher and Jackal are still the top two banned operators. Before we saw Monty and Blackbeard creeping up on Jackal, and I think the reason why that happens is because everyone bans Jackal so much that eventually they stop banning him because they just expect the other team to, and then the other team bans Monty or Blackbeard or something, and then Jackal's not banned. And then no one really goes him because they always just assume he's banned. And then in these cases, when you have Monty and Blackbeard slowly taking that place, then more people play Jackal and they're like, wait, we need to ban him more. So then they ban him again. So I think that he's just going through some fluctuations. Thatcher makes sense being banned 80% of the time because he just counters almost everything on defense, and obviously that's not fun as a defender. Plus, why would you just want to let them just breach into sight? No one should be doing that. Moving over to defense, this is something that I'm sure will be changing very soon. We have Mira at 71%, which I think will probably maybe drop down to like 50% with her new nerfs, and then we have Melusi at 36%, who I think will be dropping down to less than Echo once her nerf comes in, because her nerf is going to make her very, very hard to validate bringing. Now, I know a lot of people might not be happy about it. If you haven't seen it, her nerf is that her Banshees will now open up when they're affecting someone so they can just be shot, and they no longer have to be destroyed with an explosive or a melee, which is awesome. Very, very happy about that change. But I know a lot of people aren't going to like that because, well, she's overpowered now, or just very strong, and people want to keep her strong so they can keep using her. But with that, she'll probably drop down to below Echo and be almost useless, which is awesome. I'm happy about that. We'll probably see Valkyrie come up a lot more. I can see Cade going up a lot more as well. Now, some of the notes that they've included are stuff that's only going to happen on the test server. This isn't going to live, and I can almost guarantee, I made a bet with my chat, I'd be willing to bet them 50 gifted subs in my Twitch chat, that this will never, ever come to the main server. And that is that starting on the test server, operators will be able to use their drones, whether on attack or on defense, after they die. It's not like in its current state where you can just, move the camera around, ping people. It's going to be where if you're an attacker, you can drive your drone around the map and find people with your drone and call them out. It's going to be incredibly, incredibly strong, especially with that Z ping system. And I know there's been a lot of argument about this already. Some people saying that this is actually not going to be that strong and that People are just going to find like one edge case where it's overpowered and they're going to use that as their whole argument. I just don't like the idea of overall operators being able to affect the outcome of a round after they've died. I think it's okay if it's an operator like Capcan or Frost where you put down your traps and they still are present when you're dead. I think that's fine. I don't like the idea of Maestro who dies early and is like, you know what, I can move my cameras around and still hurt people with them directly and choose who I'm hurting with them because they never cleared the cameras. That is, in my opinion, not that great. But I haven't even played the test server. I haven't even played the early access, so maybe this actually will be not that strong. But just from a first impression, it seems... And I fully understand why they do it. If you read through here, they basically are saying that there's a lot of downtime in Siege, and people feel unmotivated to help their team after they've died. A lot of people just AFK on cameras, and I'm sure we've all had that teammate who just sits there and controls the camera, doesn't say anything, and no one can give callouts because the camera's staring at a wall. So their goal here is to make it where even when you're dead, you can still be a part of the lobby, or part of the game rather, and you can still contribute. Which is great because, you know, Siege has a lot of downtime, but I feel like they're going too far in one direction where it's going to make it just too strong. From what I heard, I have absolutely no idea if this is true or not. They also said that when you die, any cameras you have in your pocket will drop automatically, and then you can control it from there. So if you're an attacker and you get shot in the head, you'll just drop a drone and then you can control it right away. Don't know if that's true or not. If that is true, then it's going to be a huge impact because it'll keep a lot of people motivated in the game because if they don't throw their camera, they can still use it. But then they're going to be able to use all their cameras even when they didn't throw, which, I don't know. I think that would be too much. I, again, don't know whether that's true or not. And I really hope it's not true. But we'll see. I'm still willing to keep an open mind. Oh, and actually, what I was just talking about, they explain it here. So there's a few notes, I guess, to make. Dead players, they can control the drones. You can't drive other people's drones, which is good, because otherwise that'd be just way too much intel. This part, they try to make it sound like a big deal, but personally, I just don't understand why it would be a big deal. They just say antennas show up so you can tell whether the person controlling the drone is dead or not. I don't know anyone who would be willing to stop and look at a drone and be like, oh, there's antennas, and make that connection before just shooting it. You should be just shooting the drone right away. So, seems like a pointless change, but maybe it'll actually have some impact. And then here, whatever the drone is can still use its special ability like Twitch and Zero's lasers. And then it explains it here that if you do die with drones in your inventory, the drones will spawn at your spawn location. So if you spawned west side on border, they would spawn there. Which I guess isn't too bad because then you don't get immediate intel, but it is still pretty stupid in my opinion that if you die with a drone, it still gets dropped. I feel like they should be punishing people who don't use their drones as opposed to rewarding them and allowing them to keep droning after death. But maybe this is more for casual players and I'm more of, I guess, a competitive player or something. I don't know. But it's good to see that if you're like Twitch, you won't have your drone spawn after. That's a good change. Or a good note. And then there are some changes to kind of, I guess, help the defenders here. So Bulletproof Camera did receive a minor rework. You can now rotate it. It's not just a flat camera that can't be turned. It also has an EMP burst, which is essentially like Zero's camera. It shoots a laser, but instead of destroying stuff, it just temporarily disables it, kind of like a mute jammer or a Thatcher. And it looks like here, anyone who gets on the camera can use it. It doesn't, like, the bulletproof cameras don't have ownership like the drones on attack. And then to make, I guess, easier for the defenders to keep track, there's a drone counter in the top right. Whenever you shoot a drone, it'll pop up saying 2 drones destroyed, 3 drones destroyed, or whatever. And then here is the part that I was talking about earlier, which I have a bit of a problem with. Echo, Maestro, and Mozzie can control and use their abilities after death. I just don't like the idea of, let's say you're in a 1v1 as an attacker, and then you try to go for the plant, which in most situations, a 1v1 as an attacker, you're already at the disadvantage because you have to go for the plant and the defender can push you. But now that's not even the case. The defender doesn't have to push you. the Echo Drone could come and disorient you, and you can't do anything about it. Maestro Turret could shoot you while the last defender hides. It's basically turning it where attackers are in really a 1 versus 3, even though it's actually a 1 versus 1. And it even says here, the one thing with Maestro is that if you died early, you would never be able to rotate your cameras again, and that was kind of a punishment. Now you can. You can continue to rotate them even after death, and you don't even have to be Maestro. The teammates can do it. So yeah, I don't know. It seems more and more powerful the more we talk about it, but again, I'm going to try to keep an open mind. I'm sure you guys will see a video from me on the test server saying this is absolutely broken and overpowered in a week or so. And then if you scroll through here, you can see that Ubisoft talks about how they made all these changes with this system in mind, that they don't want to reward people for holding on to their intel. They're trying, actually. And if you scroll through here, you can see that Ubisoft, I guess, has been planning this for a while, because they said that they've made a bunch of changes so that this will be less frustrating, like yokai is not being invisible. The bulletproof glass in the Master Evil Eye can now be shattered, which is part of the new season, introducing the Gone 6 to help clear them. Like, it seems like they've been planning this for a while, and hopefully they know what they're doing here. They even said, I didn't notice this, that they're looking at Dokubi's logic bomb affecting dead defenders, so that if you use Dokubi, even if you're dead, you won't be able to control any cameras. That would be, I think, a good change to balance it out between attackers and defenders, but then would push a lot more for attackers like Dokubi, when you really shouldn't be forcing the attackers to choose an operator just to deal with people who are already dead. And they're also apparently looking at a new secondary gadget, which I had heard in the past is going to be a mini EMP that all attackers can carry. So it'll basically be like everyone's Thatcher. And here they talk about the death experience, that a lot of people, I guess, feel frustrated when they die and it feels too slow. So they're trying to help people get back into the action as fast as possible and understand what their role is, I guess, now that they're dead. The irony of them misspelling opportunity when talking about learning is amazing. The opportunity to learn. The only thing I'm not a huge fan of with this is that what we saw in the preview, that there were these weird animations and graphics on the screen every time you died and every time you switched cameras. Not a fan of that. Hopefully that's not part of it. One change here that is good, though, is that when you died at Capcan traps, like it says here, you won't actually be told how much health Capcan has. Because I remember sometimes in my unranked or ranked matches, I'd be hit by Capcan or Frostmat, die, and I'd be like, oh, I can see Capcan is in kitchen and he has 20 HP. You guys should push him. Because for some reason it would go right to Capcan because his gadget killed me, even though he didn't actually have any impact on that. I think that's an overall good change there. This is an amazing change that we talked about in the panel video, is that now when people die, their bodies will disappear and an icon is going to appear where they once were. So when you kill a jackal, his body will go away, but when you walk in the room, you'll see a little jackal icon. So now you don't have to worry about bodies blocking shots or blocking vision, and now you can know for sure who the operator is, especially if you're a new player who doesn't know all the operators. Now you can actually tell based off the icons. Overall, great change. Bullet holes we talked about as well. Bullet holes are now gone. I don't think anyone can say anything bad about that. Everyone's happy bullet holes are gone. They were awful. And then now, I thought this was going to be coming with the season, but apparently this is test server only. They are revamping the HP system. This isn't changing anything ultimately. This is going to be the exact same thing as it once was. It's just going to be much more obvious to us. As it stands right now, 1 armor operators have 100 HP, 2 armor operators have 110 HP, and 3 armor operators have 125 HP. That is how it is right now on live before this new update. Because the way it works is that 3 armor operators have a different multiplier for their damage. So ultimately they have 125 HP, and now they're just going to make that more clear to us. I believe this is going to be a slight change. I don't think Rook armor plates did this before, but now they just give you 20 HP more, which is good. But this will definitely help everyone understand how the HP system works and how the armor system works, because before it just used to be all a bunch of numbers behind the scenes that no one really understood. And it'll be good for, like they said, passive abilities, the hidden passives of operators. No one really understood how Rook Armor worked other than a few small details like that you would always get down when you get shot by it. Now we just know. It just gives you 20 HP, which is awesome. This is just helping more people understand how things work in the game. I do hope this comes to live. I would love for this system to be on the live servers, and I hope it doesn't only stay on test server, but maybe they still have some tweaks to work out. This we talked about earlier as well as on the panel video. Shattering Glass, now if you go and melee a mirror or an evil eye or a bulletproof camera, it'll shatter the glass. At first I wondered why it would shatter the glass of the bulletproof camera, not just destroy it. It's because of the new bulletproof camera system, how you can rotate it. Instead of automatically being destroyed, it just shatters and they can't see anything. I think you can still zap with it, so I guess you could see some use with it still. But now you'll just shatter the glass, completely block all vision. And a lot of people complained about this. They didn't really like it, but I think it's an overall good system. And let's be honest here. If someone walks up to your black mirror and melees it, shattering it and making it that you can't see anything, that's your own fault. You should not be letting people just walk up to your mirrors and destroy them. So overall, good change. And smoke propagation, this is in regards to smoke, the operator, not smoke, like attacker gadgets. So smoke is now going to be a little bit more consistent. The smoke isn't going to go through the walls. It's going to just hit people in an area without passing through, and it'll do consistent damage of 15 HP every 0.66 seconds, when before it used to, I think, scale up and scale down over time. Which it was a little hard to understand because sometimes I'd be in smoke and take 3 damage, sometimes I'd be in smoke and take 15 damage. Now it's just consistent. I think this will be a big hit to smoke because a lot of people in the higher ranks choose them a lot because of this. I think if you scroll up, yeah, you can see he's picked a decent amount and his win delta is pretty high. Or like it's not above 0, but it's still pretty good. And now with this, he probably will be picked a lot less. And people won't be able to win with him as much because a lot of people would just smoke out corners of walls and then smoke out an entire room on the other side because of the old system. Now they can't do that. I think this will be a big hindrance to him. But overall, good for the game because this should not have been a thing to begin with. They are also going to be changing the muzzle attachments and how they work. I believe they're doing more than just this, or maybe they'll explain the other ones more, but Flash Hider is now just the vertical recoil, and Compensator is just the horizontal recoil. And they said on the panel video that the muzzle brake is going to be the zeroing time. So when you shoot, say 5 bullets, the muzzle brake will make the gun go back to the original starting point faster after you stop shooting. I don't know if it's still going to affect recoil, if that's all it does. I'm not sure. I'm sure they'll explain it more. I think this is an overall good choice though, because I can't tell you how many times we've had people come into chat or YouTube comments and say, hey, what the hell do these attachments do? I don't understand. And you get a lot of people just putting Compensator on everything because they just don't understand why Compensator is bad or what it does. Going over some operator balancing, these are things that I don't think we've really talked too much about or even heard about up until this point. But we have Ashe losing 1 breaching round, which is good. She only got the 3rd one because of Melusi. Now she can go back down to 2 because you don't need the breaching rounds for that. They're also making the R4C harder to control, which was not expecting that, but that's overall good because, you know, they brought Jager from a 95% pick rate to 70%. Now it's time for Ashe to get the same treatment. One thing that's interesting here that I don't really understand why it's here is that the breaching rounds are now immune to electricity. I don't really know how often that came into play. I guess now you can Ashe charge an electrified shield if it's electrified for whatever reason, but most people, if it was electrified, they just shoot on the floor or to the side. I guess now it'll just be more consistent. Overall, some good changes. I'm happy that they're nerfing the R4C because, you know, the G360 needs some reason to be brought. Right now, it's just always worse. Moving on to Finca. Finca is now actually going to just straight heal people. So now Finca will actually be an overall healer and can help the team. If everyone's kind of low on health, just pop it, give everyone 20 HP, and then even after the ability is done, the health stays. It's no longer just armor. Nook, don't know why this is not coming out permanently. Like, they keep putting this on the test server only. This is a really good change that would actually make Nook a viable operator, and they just keep delaying it. Bring this out. This needs to be a thing. Although the one thing I just noticed upon reading this, which I don't think was available or part of the last one, is that Nook is no longer quiet when using her gadget. So it looks like now they're going to just make it where it's just an ability to get past other gadgets, but it no longer makes her quiet like Caveira. I don't know why they would remove that, because that's literally one of her only benefits. This would actually probably kill her more than it would help her, because getting past gadgets is cool, but the whole point is that you can do it quietly. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing here. They need to figure it out. Just bring it out, let us use it on the main build. Nook is a horrible operator right now. I think she has one of the lowest pick rates. Yeah, she has like less than 5% pick rate. Just let us use it. No one's gonna complain about it. But whatever, moving on. Melusi I talked about earlier. Banshees now open up and can be shot, so you no longer need explosives or to melee them. This is an amazing change. No one should be opposing this. Vigil did not know about this. His K1A recoil is going to be harder to control now. It's going to make it just a little bit harder to control vertical recoil, and horizontal spread's going to be more constant, stronger to the right, so it's just going to lean more right. I don't know what they mean by long burst recoil. They said the same thing with Ash. I imagine this means that a new recoil system will kick in on the 6th bullet for Vigil and 8th for Ash to make it a bit harder to control. Trying to make it, I guess, where you would burst more instead of just auto-firing. I don't know. And they say here that apparently the SMG-12 is getting a buff that we can see later on the page. Zero. I think this is overall meaningless change. I don't know about you guys. Maybe you can let me know if I'm wrong in the comments down below, but I don't think I've ever had a time where I've put down a Zero camera to use his shot and had the camera survive after I shot the first shot. Like, people destroy the camera so quickly. They're good for flank watches, but you're not going to need more shots on a flank watch camera. That's just not a thing. And they even say here, we notice that a lot of cameras get destroyed right after they get deployed. So I don't know how this is going to help that, but maybe they're just hoping that people who get good cameras in can use it more frequently and actually destroy more gadgets. Here we have balancing changes for the weapons. SMG-12 and Bearing 9 are both getting a buff to be slightly easier to control. Bearing 9 gets a smaller buff than a SMG-12 from what I can tell. I love that they say here that this increases the viability of running a shotgun and SMG combo loadout on Echo. Echo shotgun is probably the worst shotgun in the entire game for pump action shotties. I don't know why you would ever want to run it, other than I guess you can make rotates, but that's just, no one's going to do that. Even if the Bearing 9 is amazing, no one should be running the shotgun with it. And then here you can see reduced first shot, reduced vertical kick, horizontal spread is more predictable, and long burst recoil, which again I just assume is recoil coming in after a certain amount of shots, starts later. So overall good changes for Vigil, Dogaby, and Warden. I forgot that that's going to affect Warden because no one ever plays Warden, but now he actually has a viable secondary. And then here, oh, I did not know about this. Did they reduce this? Okay, never mind. Apparently this is not a change. I just read through it quickly. From my understanding, this, when you place the gadget, it'll more effectively show what its area of effect is, so you don't have to be like, will this work, will this not? So it'll work for LS Mines. I guess when you place it, it'll just show a circle of where someone would activate it. Air Jabs and Electric Claws already had that, so I'm assuming this will be like before you throw it, it'll show a circle, maybe. I don't know. This overall seems like a good change if it's just helping you understand the area of effect more, but I need to actually see what they're talking about to make sure this isn't like they're reducing the area of effect. But yeah, that is it for the designer notes. A lot of changes that we had already talked about, but we get to see more numbers and more understanding of why things are changing the way they are. I don't think anyone can really complain about it except for Ash Jager mains who are probably crying in their beds tonight and just complaining that the world hates them. We do hate you. Just choose a different operator combo to main. Don't be so plain. Choose operators that could actually help the team. That's going to be it for the designer notes for preseason of Year 6 Season 2. Let me know what you guys think down below. I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to have a lot of opinions on this stuff, so just let me know and we can talk about it. Hopefully you guys won't get too aggressive in the comments, but we've been here before. People always get really upset when their mains get changed. Just take a breather, find a new main. That's going to be it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.